Okay. Okay, so hello everyone again. Nice to see you here in today's webinar, which is presented to you by the Huawei Enterprise Support Community and is hosted today by Mohmmad Kasim, a very experienced engineer. We are always honored to have him as a presenter. This is not his first time joining. He has hosted in the past as well. If you are interested, I can also share the links to the previous webinars that he shared. They belong to both storage and cloud because our presenter today has both HCIE storage and HCIE cloud certifications, which I believe that everyone knows that HCIE is the highest level of technical certification in Huawei. Having two HCIE certification means a lot, of course. He has an impressive experience, and as always, we are happy to have him as a webinar host for us. Um, I think that what you're seeing now makes it clear how experienced our host today is. And you have a lot to learn from him, and that's why you should use this opportunity to ask him questions on this topic if you have any. Um, so, um, as I said, you can use the chat option, you can ask questions, and our presenter, Mohmmad Kasim, will provide support whenever he's able to. Of course, he will not stop every minute, but he will check the chat from time to time. Um, what can I say? Thank you again for being our presenter today. I'm always happy to co-host the webinar with you. And today's topic, more specifically, today we'll focus on Huawei Cloud Stack Online. And I think I will let you take over and get into more detail about the actual topic for today. I will check the
Yeah.
chat as well in case there are any questions, in case anything is unclear, or if there are any issues with the sound, I will make sure to let you know. Let's hope that there will not be any technical issues today. So I will stop sharing. You can start sharing. Okay.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Elena, for this, start of this event. I think it's fairly past experience. Also, we have jointly delivered some webinar on some hot topics to the industry.
Yes.
And today's topic is also very, very hot topic in terms of cloud as a demand of the industry. So before I start my presentation, I'll just introduce a little part of Huawei because this is a global webinar and many of people joining from different region or different organizations, they might not be fully aware about Huawei. So Huawei is the leading ICT infrastructure provider company. We have strength of almost 195K employees globally. We are existence in 170 plus countries globally, and we are number two in terms of R&D investments or R&D people. So you can see here that 54%, I think more than 50%, our staff is in the R&D. So that make Huawei as an innovative organization, and we have a largest of innovations given to the industry so far. As far as the commitment is concerned, they bring digital to every person, home, and organization for the fully connected world. We are touching almost all the area of ICT, technologies, whether it's like information storing, which is called storage as a system, or information processing, which is called compute, or information transmission, which is called communication channel. So all these technologies, Huawei is master in these all technologies provided. Beside that, Huawei also entered into digital power segment where we are having the um, data center powers or UPS or batteries, or in fact it's a domain to serve all the industries of consumer business, carrier business, or the enterprise business group. So this is just a little brief to Huawei for understanding our topic today, because it is touching to cloud era, and let's make the understanding common for everyone. We all know that digitization is bringing more and more data, and it becoming more and more complexity also to manage and grow with the business, the infrastructure. So we can see here like the past trend from 1970s. We can see that the first virtualization was introduced in the mainframe level. Later, it is been addressed to x86 platforms, and early 20th century, it's like becoming a virtualization as a backbone for every data center or every industry in the IT domain. And now it's pushing towards the cloud era. In future, every industry has a demand of a large segment of the data, and then this data has a correlation and need the cloud infrastructure to sustain it. So this is the understanding on how digitization is generating the data, and the cloud is the solution to serve those requirements. As I just mentioned that Huawei is the ICT infrastructure company, so we are having the solution at every layer. You can see here from the data center facility perspective, we have batteries, in the battery systems or UPS systems, and in fact, we have the micro data center or the modular data center solution at the data center facility. And these are the very mature solution from Huawei. And above that, in the data center equipment layer, we have the complete stack. Huawei is well known into the telecom or the transmission or the networking component point of view. But here you can see the equipment in the data center is basically required for storing the data, which is called the storage domain. So Huawei has the storage very advanced and very good innovations in the storage domain. Dorado is our flagship product here, and the compute part, which has the server infrastructure. So Huawei have the server infrastructure as well, and the networking component. Above that, we have the software solutions. We call it the cloud solutions. So today's topic is our touching on this area. We are touching the Fusion Cloud. Beside the Fusion Cloud, today we are talking about the hybrid cloud as well. So this is Huawei product, Fusion Cloud, or the cloud as a solution. It has all the variants like private, public, and hybrid. So today we are talking about the hybrid cloud, which is part of our cloud domain. Okay, so let's start the HCSO online. In our term, we call it Huawei Cloud Stack HCS online. Online means it is the hybrid mode where the cloud infrastructure is like deployed in the customer data center environment. So there are two mode of complete stack. It's called dedicated cloud as well. So customer can have a choice of putting the dedicated cloud infrastructure in his premises data center, or he can have the space in public cloud. But this public cloud is a dedicated. You can see here full stack deck. So it's a dedicated infrastructure which is for deployed for one customer. But here the complete ownership of hardware and the services is on the Huawei side. But here the hardware is in the customer data center and the premises, so the ownership lies with the customer. But this deployment mode, we call it HCSO, the hybrid mode of Huawei cloud deployment, which can bring customer for the experiencing the all services, which is the cloud relevant services, and all services he can deploy in his own data center. From the technical architecture perspective, we know that the cloud services are growing very fast and as per the demand, and this is classified in infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. So all these service layer have their macro level services requirement as well. So Huawei is coming with this model. The all public cloud services can be exposed or deployed into the on-premise cloud service domain. So customer can have this the full stack topology or the services in his own premises. So this model can give the customer more leverage to use the cloud services and near to his data center services. So dependencies for the network point of view, he can reduce the dependencies on service infrastructure. From the functional architecture perspective, what all the services are basic services requirement point of view. So you can see this just image showcasing to how the basic services are deployed. You can see here um, there is a classical arrangement, we call it VPC, the virtual private cloud arrangement, which consists of all the resources, which is all our virtual resources basically, and they are delivered on the network to the end user. And the beauty of this solution is has the BMS, the bare metal server, which is a physical server as a service to the end user. It can also be carved out, and the SAP related the complex or high performance architecture requirement that can also be delivered over the network to end customer. So the end customer can have these services access via different ways and means. So this is just two examples here. We can have the EIP, we can have a VPN, and we can have a direct connect to communicate the services inside this VPC and access all our infrastructure or platform or the services which is deputed in the local cloud. Networking point of view, it's just a high level design to understand. There is a deployment requirement point of view, like bare metal services or the compute or the storage. These are the requirements from customer, and the networks have the segments required. One is for service domain, one is for management domain. So these five components, are tightly coupled with the Huawei Cloud software, and then it become a cloud as a service, and we are making it as a HCSO delivery point at the customer location. And the services and the service model is same as Huawei public cloud. This just to make an understanding on the common layer, with this hardware and the integrated hardware and the full stack cloud services deployment on this hardware with the compute, with the storage virtualization, with the network virtualization, and we make it complete stack as a IaaS. And beside that, then there is a approximately 80 plus services can be deployed in the in-premise data center, and those are having the unified O&M platform. It is covered to meet the uptime and the reliability and redundancy to customer. So we have the unified architecture, unified APIs to communicate to this service level, unified cloud services, which is available on the public cloud as well as the your hybrid cloud. All these services can be accessed over the network, and it's have a unified O&M platform as well. So from there you can see in my coming slide, you can see how this O&M is helping the customer to take this simplification. Okay, so here is from the innovation point of view, Huawei has value added at each layer, whether it's a hardware layer. So we have the Huawei chipset, which is industry supportive chipsets, and they are adding the more technologies or more performances or more data driven like systems like the Kunpeng CPUs or the Ascend AI chipset. So these are the some innovations which has been added on the cloud era or the cloud segment. And we have the dedicated hardware and their infrastructure to be as a virtualized platform with the help of Huawei cloud software layer, and then it become a IaaS service or PaaS service or DaaS service to the end customer or to the end and upper layer industries. So you can see that the cloud is a formation to serve either at the infrastructure as a demand or as a industry as a demand. So on both the side, we can have the same architecture follow and deliver the solutions to end customers. From the delivery perspective, we can see that Huawei is having the large experience in terms of having this infrastructure deployment and onboarding the services to customer, having the professional team for data migration and the experts to solve the complex architecture to be achieved with the cloud because the cloud is a a purely network driven system, and there are many services which need to be associated, like the gateway services, or the firewall services, or the EIP services. They need to be associated. So there is some experts requirements. So Huawei has very high experts available in the cloud domain to solve the customer and bring the network on time to customer. Okay, in terms of requirement at the virtualization layer as a VM perspective, you can see here there are two classification. One is for general computing C6 configuration, and one is S6 configuration for VM, the virtual machine. So these can be chosen in while the stack is live, which kind of VM you are provisioning for your business need. One is purely related to high performance. One is related to the cost effective with the sharing the resources. Okay, so this is just a quick overview on the cloud as a services point of view. In terms of compute services, there are many services like elastic computing services, auto scaling, image services, BMS, or Docker services, or container services. All these have the compute part, the security part, the storage part, the network part. We have the VPC, ELB, DNS, and direct connect VPN. All these services are available in HCSO, which is the hybrid cloud model, and can 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 be plugged in or activated in the HCSO model to serve the business. Okay, so just to make understanding how this HCSO model can help the customer in terms of dividing the partitions. One is the one single customer has a single HCSO, the complete hybrid, one owner, one tenant. He can introduce the multiple enterprise as a project. So we call it enterprise project accounts. And each enterprise account can have its own administrative groups or the powered user groups. They can manage the resources within the this bucket or this platform, and they have their own resource pool, whether it's a virtual server or virtual volume services or the VPC service. All these services can be hooked up with this model. So we call it the multi-tenant or the single tenant, introducing the multiple enterprises, and multiple enterprises managing their own resources in the resource pool. The another method is to have the introduction on multi-tenant layer. So the single HCSO can also support multi-tenant in the same fashion. Each tenant can introduce multiple enterprise projects, and they can have their own resource pool to serve the business. So this is like a complete control on the resources and the division of the resources in this segment, the hybrid segment of the cloud. Okay, so this is just understanding on the different ways of communication to cloud connectivity point of view. We will just touch in the little deep in my upcoming slides. So there is like this scenario, one VPC, they have external communication with the help of VPN. So all the resources in this VPC can be communicated by VPN. So this is one method of communicating to cloud services. The another method is called direct connect. You can have the direct physical path from customer data center to directly deliver. That is called point-to-point communication. So it will enhance the bandwidth or giving the private line to communicate from the customer data center to the HCSO platform. So this can be a direct path. And also there is a layer 2 communication, which is L2 VPN communication, is also supported by HCSO model. So beside that, there is one more model, we call it VPC endpoint, by which we can communicate to the public cloud. This is the external cloud of Huawei Cloud Services point of view. We can hook up the public cloud services directly by our HCSO. It's like communicating the HCSO and the HCS on the public cloud domain, both. So this communication channels will describe in the upcoming slides as well. But this is just a common understanding how to communicate the customer data center with the cloud stack services point of view. So this slide talks about little more in deep in that sense. So here you can see that this is a customer data center. The customer data center can be hooked up the services to communication point of view, either VPN or either the direct connect. So he can communicate to the all the resources available here, and then he can make the private line communication between the IDC and the VPC. Here it's a dedicated, so the choice is depending upon the customer requirement, both can be adjusted or given to the customer. This is supported. And the third layer is called EIP communication, which is purely internet driven. So there will be public IP attached to one services which can be used with the help of routed networks. So that can be accessed with the one VCS or one service outside to talk to EIP, and it will reach to internet based users. So here internet-based user can directly reach to the service platform, or the IDC, the customer network, can also reach to the service platform here. Okay, so this is just talking about more deep into in terms of multiple communication channels to be established. Like here, we are talking about native gateway communicating using EIP to the resources, either ECS resource, BMS resource, or any other resources which is available in the cloud. We can have communication through the gateways, or the we call it net gateways. And how to configure this net gateway? This is also part of the live demo. So we'll just make understanding clear that how the resources inside the cloud can be accessed from the outside, either the dedicated network of the customer premises or from the internet. So some services called hosted based services, which need a internet facing, or some services are like a private communication requirement, so they can be private communication requirement. Okay, so this is just a more in-depth understanding point of view, how these resources from the customer IDC or the customer network can use the direct communication or direct connect to reach to the resource in the cloud. So there is a communication, and it can also allow no IP change requirement. So you can see that the IP segments on the both side can be remain same. So you can extend the network to upper layer, VPC designing point of view. Another communication, as I mentioned, that layer 2 communication is also possible. So layer 2 can also extend give the flexibility to remain the same network inside the IDC and the inside the hybrid cloud. So this can be attest. Okay, so the next one is the load balancing point of view. The same can be utilized with the ELB as a cloud services. ELB can give this flexibility to have the load balancing between the Huawei cloud stack or the physical data center. So both resources can lively be load balanced. This is also possible with the help of this direct connect. The another one is advanced use the advanced services of the cloud, like OBS service or the DNS service using your private network communication. So this is also possible. We can have the advanced services communicating on private line. Okay, this is another a requirement, like where the internet bandwidth can be consolidated with this method. The Huawei cloud stack can allow you to have the bandwidth consolidation, and the entire traffic which need a internet bandwidth communication, they can go via this private network from physical data center to the HCSO data center, and from there the common bandwidth can be utilized to reach the internet. Okay, I think from the communication point of view, we understand how the HCSO is helping customer to choose the network modes and have the connectivity. From the security point of view, Huawei has the all the compliances and the certifications. It is also available on our Huawei support or Huawei cloud website. All the declarations are available there, and we have a very secure architecture to follow and comply to follow the customer requirements and do this deployment. The another part is called migration services, how the customer can migrate the data from his physical data center to HCSO platform. So we have the various tools here. You can see the Huawei cloud tools are available to migrate the services from customer environment to Huawei cloud environment. So we have the various tools. We can it's a professional services. So as and when required customer point of view, we can choose and give the help to customer for those doing this migration services. Okay, so this is the same helping the customer by Windows based migration as well. From bit by bit we can transfer the data. We can clone the entire image and do the migration, or we can do the file based level migration. So both is possible in Huawei Migration SMT tool. So this is just to make understanding how you can do the migration of your infrastructure which is running on physical to virtual data center. The next one is called the understanding on how this console is look like and have the accessibility. So I'll just make this slide little bigger so that you can have this understanding. So the first part is the logging into
Second,
the
please.
console.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Before we move on, can you please check the chat a bit? I think there are a few questions. I'm not sure if they have
Okay,
been
sure,
already
sure,
covered.
sure, sure. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I think that is good. Guys, I'm very happy to join this webinar. Hello, guys. After how OBS can access on the private link. Okay, so I think I just answered this part in our slide. The OBS is the object storage services, and this need a VPC endpoint connectivity to hook up the OBS services. I think it's part of this previous slide. I'll just to go back here. Here, so you can see the OBS services which is on the public cloud can be hooked up via endpoint communication and do the internal structure flow for this OBS. What next question?
I think
Does
what are the
Huawei Cloud
differences
support?
between VPC and VPN?
Okay, what is the difference between the gateway and firewall? Okay. Okay, so firewall is a security services, and the gateway is the communication system. So you can see here, if we need to have the gateways defined for external path, we use gateway. But firewall is just to block or access list, create the access list on the traffic layer. That time we use the firewall. So both the services are for the network control point of view or network access point of view. So it is available in our live demo. We'll demonstrate this part as well. Does Huawei Cloud support third-party servers for deployment? Okay, so there is a compatibility matrix for given supported x86 platform hardware and Huawei own hardware as well. So both can be followed for this deployment perspective. We need to follow the compatibility matrix. What is the difference between VPC and VPN? Okay, I think it's VPC is a virtual private cloud. It's like the boundary in which all the resources are associated. Inside this, you have the VPN. VPN is the virtual private network. It's a networking terminology basically to communicate the to interconnect the two networks on the virtual private network VPN. So it is IPsec VPN or SSL VPN, whatever way we can communicate. So establishing the point-to-point communication between the two networks, VPNs are required. So this is a networking terminology. VPC is the cloud terminology which has the cloud relationship for all the resources. So it is a boundary for all our virtual resources. Okay, does Huawei Cloud support third party? I answered this. How data can be transferred using the OBS bucket? Okay, so I think this part is the understanding for accessing the OBS bucket from customer network. So for example, this scenario, if you can see my screen here. Okay, so this scenario, there are two pointers. One is called the direct communication to customer network, and within this you have the OBS also, which is communicating to this path. So OBS can be directly communicating via endpoint, and you can have the direct path to your IDC. So from your IDC private network, you can communicate to direct connect, and direct connect communicate to endpoint to reach to OBS services. So OBS will have the local path to here. It will not go via internet path. So it can be locally communicated to your endpoint point of view, VPC endpoint point of view, and then communicate to direct connect to reach to the customer private network or the physical network. So this way we can achieve the local path for OBS communication. And then OBS service, once it is available on the local path and in IDC, then you can put your data for migration point of view. If you are doing the offline migration, you can put all the data on the OBS and it will be available on the cloud or in-prem cloud or outside of the cloud. Both side OBS can give this data services. I hope it can understand to you. Okay, what is the next? Okay, this one is what data can be transferred using OBS bucket. Okay, this I have answered. VPC enables your cloud resources for securely communicating to each other. VPN communicate that. I think this is the answer I have already given. What is the E2E stand for? End-to-end communication. E2 is stand for end-to-end communication. End-to-end, what is that? I think there are some chat question and answers both. So question point of view, I have already answered these questions. If still you have some question, you can keep chat on. I can relook the chat and then answer your queries as well. Okay, let's continue.
Yes, I think we can continue. Thank you for answering the question.
Okay, thank you. So let's go for the demo point of view. So as I mentioned that the first part is to access the console. The console can be accessed over the internet and wherever the networking is allowed to reach that console. So once the console is logged in, you have the same flavor, whatever the public cloud has, the same icon, same console or same view of services. So same way the HCSO will open and the HCSO will have all the service segment to be further configured. Like it is giving the compute under the compute, it is giving elastic cloud server or cloud container server or a image management service or auto scaling services. These are part of compute layer. All these services can be configured further for the business need. Like ECS is kind of a virtual machine. You can have the virtual machine deployment for different operating systems or different kind of configuration. As I mentioned that S6 or C6 are the two specifications available. We can do multiple combinations and permutation combination to select the VM. And similarly, we have to choose the similar kind of services for business point of view. Further, in the storage segment, this particular HCSO is allowing these services like object storage services or elastic volume services or cloud server backup services, which is called CSBS service, which is called the backup services point of view, and volume backup services, EBS. So all these services are also available here for getting further configurations, and business data can reside on this storage segments. So some segments you can expose to internet. I will just show in my demo also how this OBS is connected over the internet and how we can demonstrate this part. From the networking services point of view, this particular example, it has the VPC, the virtual private cloud. By default, when we create one tenant, it has the VPC by default as a service activated. So you can just create the VPC and choose the CDR and then configure further. So I think in the example, we'll just see how these VPCs are configured. And then there is a ELB, elastic load balance is also available. Direct connect is also available, and domain name as a service DNS, we call it DNS. So it is also available here to further provision. From the security point of view, customer can have pick and choose whatever the services he can plug in. Maybe the anti-DDoS or the web application firewall, we call it WAF, or some other database securities or key management securities. All these are available here. So after this console is live, we have to further configure the services as per the business requirement. So as I think in my previous slide, I just mentioned that you have uh, one main account, you can introduce multiple sub departments like department A, department B, department C. They can also provision their respective resources. or you can have multiple user base from the IAM, identity access management. So this can control the multiple users for communicating, and those users can control with the resource access and the type of access in the system. Okay, here is just an example how the Elastic services are, learned. So here, if we go into the Elastic Cloud Services screen, we can have the create option. We can create, and all your ECS will be listed down here. And the good part here is that all the ECS have their by default monitoring, attached to it. So we can have all the monitoring aspects for that VM lively. I'll just show that part as well from our demo. And this is called ECS. So here also you can see multiple choices. As I mentioned that this is called S3 configuration, and we have S6 also, we have C6 also. So depending upon the environment which is built up, like the AI accelerated configuration, or dedicated general purpose configuration, or general purpose configuration. So these three segments you will find a different type of combinations of specification in terms of CPU, in terms of memory, and their speed. So they can be attached to here, like 8 virtual CPU, 16 GB. This is one classification. If we choose this one, it will depute one virtual machine with this CPU and with this memory. So this is from the console, and we can provision all the services in the same console, single console. It's an interface for accessing all the services within the one single console point of view. From the admin or access point of view, you can classify your user. Some user may able to provision the services, or some user only can read the services. So that control can also be done by IAM service. So some user can do um, like they have allowed to create direct connect, so they can create the direct connect. If they are not allowed, then this function will not operate for those users. So I think this is a control segment. um, Apart from this, there is one more service. We call it Cloud Eye. Cloud Eye is our internal monitoring platform, which can be used to monitor all the services and their health status, and there is a detailed reporting. And this Cloud Eye system can also be a trigger point for alarms. So the alarms can also deliver by the alarming system, or SMN. We call it the SMN service. With the help of SMN services, all the alarm can be delivered to you either on the email platform or on the SMS platform. And this alarm can also trigger to the auto scale service point of view. If your cluster, for example, running with 4 nodes, and the alarm has generated that all 4 nodes are consumed more than 80%, so this auto scale can provision the new node in that cluster. So this is kind of arrangement the Cloud Eye can give. And the Cloud Eye has a detailed monitoring and a deep the component or the object level monitoring. So you can see here all this CPU level, CPU load, memory, disk IO, all the detailings, even historical way. We can generate the graph, and we can understand how this technically this particular service is behaving in the HCSO. If some trend analysis, pushing that something need to be expanded on the network, this can be a trigger call for getting the expansion on the HCSO. And there is a detailed reporting also. You can classify the reports as your business requirement point of view. You can choose the function, which function you want a deep monitoring, or which function you need just a console based. So it can also support the large screen demonstration, so you can plug in this live graphs in your big screen on the NOC center or the monitoring centers. They can keep live 24 hours monitoring for these objects. Okay, so the next part is the O&M perspective. Further, HCSO has the inbuilt monitoring system. We call it HOMS, which can give the detailed hardware layer, or the resources layer monitoring I'll just cover up this part as well. So this is a detailed monitoring, and different kind of classification reports can be generated because HCSO is the hybrid cloud mode, and monitoring is also supported by Huawei segment. So we also support the end customer with various reports or various infrastructure utilizations. In terms of change management, the customers has to follow the change management cycle. So all the versions, all the system softwares have the change management cycle, and it need to be communicated before doing the deployment. Okay, so this is the monitoring services point of view. I just described that HOMS is the platform, the monitoring platform. It is a public cloud platform monitoring system, and extended to support the HCSO also online monitoring system. So we can see here it has a predefined objects and the monitoring reports or the consoles, which can cover your entire the services or the resources, whether it's a physical layer of server, switch, router, or anything which is on the physical layer, or can we have the virtual layer, whether EVS, ECS, EIP, or have the bandwidth, or have the all the segments, whatever they utilize, configured on the HCSO, all those segments can be monitored with this HCSO. And this 5 screen is designed in such a way that you can have all the reports in a ready format, whether historical reports you can classify, you can scroll down to critical alarms segregation, or you can have the different login audits view. Also you can see the hardware capacity and configuration also from this same single window. So this is very good monitoring system. uh, Here it is in detail. So the first screen called dashboard. In the dashboard you can see the hardware part as well as the virtual resource part. So all your number of ECS, number of percentage values, all this can be monitored from HOMS. And here is also showing you all the configuration of hardware resources in terms of their operating system, their CPU, memory, what type of processor it has. Like in this example, E52690 processor is running, and have this Linux Euler operating system running, and its health status. So you can see here all the health status are showcasing in the same single window. The next window is the HCSO online alarming system. So here you can see the overall alarms of the complete HCSO, and this can cover all your network part, all your storage part, all your compute part. All the alarms can be seen here in a single console window, and based on that, the further action can be derived. The tenant can also see the dashboard for the some services like ECS level or the virtual machine level, or can classify the risk level of the services. If for example right now the services are running okay, but in some time it is going to peak, so that can be highlighted as a risk for the business. So that can be identified here, and we can have the further action plan for support. Okay, so now next question is about HCSO understanding. So some questions are like how the images, the shared image can be, done with the two tenants or the same tenant, how this shared image function can work. So this is having one complete topic. We call it image management service. Under the image management service, you can find how to share the image, or how to get the project ID to share the images with the two tenants, or the multiple tenants. So like in this example, I just created one shared image, and it is Kasim underscore test is available on the image shared with me. And then I can provision the VM from this image directly. So it is like it's solving one problem also. Like for example, one tenant has already pre-built image, having all the hardening, security hardening done, having all the software deployment done, having all the things is pre-tested and configured. So he can share the same working image to the next tenant, and this can be shared like this, and he can further provision his VM based on this master image. Okay, the next part is the service support model, how Huawei is supporting the HCSO model. So Huawei has given the multiple layer of service portfolios, starting with the basic. So HCSO by default come with basic, and when we take the services, either enterprise, business class, based on the which class of service we are activating, we have the availability of services from Huawei with the commitments. Like if we go with the enterprise class services, there is a VIP callback or dedicated TAM or the service support into the 24 into 7 coverage of all your critical systems. And also this can have the coverage of monthly reporting, which have the different scope understanding and how the overall infrastructure is performing for you. It's kind of health check. Every month it can be, addressed to the higher management authorities, what is the current status of all the services, whether any provision or any new trend is coming on the business point of view, how we can take those load or how we can extend our HCSO system. So this is a trigger point to address those challenges. The next question is the HCSO people ask how they can open a ticket with Huawei. So there is a method to open a ticket with Huawei. They can go for the Huawei Cloud Console and public cloud console, and from there they can submit the ticket. And during the submit ticket, they can mention the HCSO location and the site ID, and based on that, our engineer will be assigned. Similar way, the tracking of the ticket can be happen on the same public cloud login, and you can see all the updates on the ticket and communicate with the engineer who is supporting that one. Apart from this, Huawei HCSO also have very detailed, documentation, online documentation. We call it uh, the product documentation or the service documentation, and also it has the some training documentation available on Huawei online. So you can pick and choose any topic which is relevant or which you wanted to further more deep dive, like storage, cloud services. You can pick this topic, or you can pick the further cloud solutions topic, and those training solutions are free. They can be just hooked up, and then you can take your knowledge enhancement by online training systems. Apart from this, there is a help center is also available. Each HCSO have their dedicated documentation and online help, which is called the self-help portal. In this self-help portal, you can find all the services which is activated on HCSO, their concerned topic and their concerned configuration requirement, how to configure bare metal, how to configure elastic server, how to configure image management system. So no need to get dependency on any person to person dependency. You can search the document. They are well good written with the example cases and the case studies, and then you can follow all the configuration and do it by yourself. So these two things can bring a self-help service for the technical customer. They can do by themselves. Okay, I think I'm done with the demonstration part of it. Now the next question is the question answer session. I think Elena, you want to drive that part?
Yes, but before that,
Okay,
I'm
so
not sure
chat.
if you are sharing the. I need to present the community slides first.
Okay, the community slide I can present, no problem. I'll just go there. Please.
Okay,
Hmm.
thank you. So, for those of you who've joined the meeting a bit later, this webinar is hosted by the Huawei Enterprise Support Community, the official technical community for all Huawei Enterprise products, solutions, and certifications. As you can see, we have an impressive number of community members. If you are not a member yet, we welcome you to join the community as well. We have an extensive knowledge base that you can learn from, technical collections and technical webinars like this one today. We try to make it easy for everyone who is interested in Huawei enterprise products and solutions to get access to information, and you can improve your technical skills. And in case you are interested in a Huawei certification, then I highly recommend you to subscribe to our technical collections and learn from them, because they will help you a lot. Um, our community also provides free technical support for the registered members. So If you have a technical issue, a question that is, of course, related to Huawei Enterprise, then if you create an account, you can post ask for help. Post ask for help means that you have a question or an issue that needs our technical team support, and you'll receive an answer within 24 hours. Um, and if you are interested in having more contribution in this community, being an active member of this community, please know that we also have a public recognition and reward system, which includes the Elite Users Program, where we invite the most active members of our community to join for different roles that you can have in the community. High coins, which are the virtual currency of this community that you can use in exchange for different rewards in our online shop. And if you are interested in seeing more of the rewards we have, I will share the link. Just please know that every month we add new items in the shop. They usually include different gadgets and different vouchers or gift cards. And last but not least, every month we have different activities and webinars where we offer rewards, different kind of prizes, including high coins and gadgets. So if you are interested in attending future webinars, I highly recommend you to subscribe to receive email notifications as well, just to make sure that you don't miss out any important webinar. And for the previous webinars that we've had, I already shared the link in the chat. We have a community webinars collection, and you will be able to find the recordings of the previous webinars there in the collection. Okay, if can you please move to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, as I said from the beginning, for today we have also prepared an activity for those who are attending. I will share the link again. This is the webinar link, which I will be referring from now on. So this is the webinar link. You can find it in the chat. The first activity is very easy. It's especially for those of you who are now in the live session. All you need to do is access this link that I've shared, and in the next 10 minutes, leave a comment below this post saying that I attended this webinar. Okay, so you need to click the link that I shared in the chat. You need to go to that post and leave a comment below the post with the text I attended this webinar. You still have, as I said, you have 10 minutes from now. I will check the time and we will only take into consideration the comments that are shared within the 10 minutes slot, okay? So go ahead, start commenting. We will choose 5 random winners to win 600 high coins, which is a big amount of high coins. And you can start collecting high coins, and then you can use them to exchange them for different prizes in the online shop. Um, I think it's quite easy. It's quite easy to participate. Um, no need to stay for 10 minutes. Just thank you, by the way. I would really appreciate it if you can also confirm here in the chat that you share the comment in the community. This is just a confirmation for me. Either way, I will check to see if the comments were actually shared in the 10 minutes that I mentioned. This is basically all you have to do to win. So it's really easy. This activity basically is just to show our appreciation for those of you who are attending the live webinar. As I've said in the past, I know that it's not always easy to attend the webinars. You have your own work We truly appreciate you taking the time to join our live webinars, even if sometimes it's a bit more difficult. Yes, you need to be logged in order to comment. I think I said this from the beginning. You cannot leave a comment without being logged in. So you need to have an account, and if you have an account, you need to log in first to be able to comment. Okay, let's move to the next slide, please. Okay, we have some participants here who are already familiar with this system that we have. This is basically the second activity we have. We will show you 3 questions, which are of course based on the content that was presented today. And you should go to the same link, to the same post that I shared before, and you need to answer the 3 questions correctly in order to have a chance to win 600 high coins. You don't have to answer right away. You still have a few days left to answer. Just so you know, we will show you the questions now in the live meeting, but after the live session ends, I will also update the questions here in the post. So don't worry. You will be able to find the questions there. You can check, you can make sure that you are answering correctly, and then you can post your comments. So don't worry, there's no hurry. You still have time to answer the questions. This is just just so that you know what you need to do in order to be able to win, especially if you are new to our webinar sessions. Okay, so I will share the link one final time just to make sure that it's really clear to everyone. So I shared the link here in the chat. You should go here and answer the 3 questions that we will share right away. Don't worry, again, I will update the questions in the post as well, so you'll be able to find them. Okay, now can you please present the questions? I think you are more qualified than me to present the questions, so I will let you take over again and show the 3 questions. I think it's quite easy to answer them if you've paid attention to the presentation. Okay, can you please present the first question?
Yeah, this is the first question.
Yes.
Go to the next.
Uh, let's wait 2 more seconds. I think it's quite easy, right? But okay. The second question is also quite easy. It's a true or false type of question. So it's nothing too complicated. Okay, so this is the second question. I think we can present the third question as well. The third question, okay. Which cloud services are supported by the HCSO platform? So, everyone, these are the questions, not very complicated to answer. If you are not sure, you can still check, you can make sure that you answer correctly. So basically you need to leave the comment below that post with the answers to these 3 questions. And again, we will choose 5 more winners from those who answered correctly to the 3 questions. So basically in total we will have 10 winners if, of course, we have participants who answered correctly to the questions. The recording will be available soon, most probably by tomorrow. I will update it in the same post that I shared here in the chat a few times. I will upload the recording there. I will upload the questions there as well so that you are able to find them and answer them. So don't worry, everything will be available in the same place so that it's not confusing. You don't have to look in different places. So this was our presentation today. Thank you all for attending. Again, I highly recommend you to subscribe to the webinars collection if you are interested in finding the previous webinars we've had. And if you are interested in attending future webinars, I also recommend you to subscribe to receive email notifications. Every time there's a new webinar in the category you selected, you will receive an email notification just so that you don't miss out any important updates. I really hope that you found this session useful. And I really hope that I will see you in our future webinars as well. If you have any feedback, suggestions for us regarding topics that you'd like us to cover, then please let us know. Use the community as a way to contact us. You can send me a private message or you can share a post. Anyway, we will be able to find out what topics you are interested in and how we can improve our webinars to make sure that you are satisfied with the quality of the trainings that we offer. Okay, this was it for today. Thank you again. Thank you to our presenter. Great as usual. Thank you to our participants and have a nice day, evening ahead, and see you soon. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you all. Thank you, Elena. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone. Have a nice day ahead or evening. Thank you.